Yeah, I'm gonna record and then let me know if you can see my screen.
Yep.
Uh, okay, perfect. Um, okay, perfect. So, yeah, obviously, purpose of tonight for John and Jacob. Like we've done this with field players. We've got head coaches, assistant coaches who have came on and kind of given us an A to Z of basically what happens in college soccer. Obviously, the goalkeeper position is something that's super specific and something that you both work with within your program. So, the idea tonight is just getting our goalkeepers on, kind of hear from you. I'll kind of lead the dialogue, and then yeah, go from there. So we'll just kind of go through the slides. First one is basically the purpose. So we're going to look at recruiting timelines for an NCAA Division One goalkeeper. What Oral Roberts and Milwaukee look for in a goalkeeper. What's important during the recruitment process. Understanding weekly schedule of a Division One athlete. Also, really emphasis on the goalkeeper. Understand the schedule and vast representation of an NCAA Division One roster, and then just kind of understand a little bit more about Oral Roberts, Milwaukee. From you guys, for the people who are on the call, it's not a Q&A with the coach. I'll lead the discussion, and then at the end, we'll kind of open it up and we'll answer any questions that you have. So I'm actually kind of excited as well. Obviously, like I'm in the college space as a head coach, but the keepers is something that we kind of have separate with our goalkeeper coaches. So I'm also kind of excited to learn from you guys and understand kind of the processes that you go through within your program. So um, yeah, basically 50%, 55%, sorry, of Lobo players advance to play college soccer each year. And this is basically us just connecting the dots between the kids that are moving on and kind of giving more information to the classes that are coming up in regards to what it looks like, when preparing for that transition from club soccer to collegiate soccer across the country. So first of all, I've got John Woodhead, who is assistant coach at Oral Roberts University. He heavily focuses on the goalkeepers, but he's also a member of staff. And he's going to kind of lead us in the men's side. He's on the men's side at Oral Roberts University. And then we've got Jacob Dietrich from University of Milwaukee. Kind of same idea. He's on the girls' side. He's an assistant coach. But he leads the goalkeepers in regards to what they go through on a daily basis. Okay. So we're gonna start it off with the girls' side. I pulled the pictures from the internet, so just basically what Milwaukee have done the last little bit. But we'll go through you and then we'll kind of switch over to John. But Jacob, first question, what is, specific traits that you look for at the Division One level in a goalkeeper?
Yeah, I think one of the main things that we look at are just being able to have the bases covered. So being able to stop the ball from going in the net is kind of the basic. I know a lot of people kind of get caught up in the modern day sweeper keeper. Our coach is old school. I love that sweeper style, but at the end of the day, it's who can keep the ball from the net. A major focus the past year or two on the women's side that we've kind of gone to is if a player has the ability to deal with the ball that's over their head, right? So just that kind of, we call it back to bar here, but just that overhead ball, being able to focus on that is crucial as well. I think another big thing for us would just be attention to detail. It's really easy to spot a player who's focused on the little details of things. I was just at an event this past weekend in Ann Arbor, and we had four keepers there, and one of them, just even doing the warm up with her, just the way she moved throughout it, and just the little detail to adjustments on volleys to her, you could tell she really focused on just trying to make sure everything was proper throughout that. And that's something that we really look for, right? Being able to strive to be the best that they can within that and looking to get better. Yeah.
Love it. Love it. And then just on to the next one. What are some non-negotiables to play with your program, not only athletically, but also academically? Obviously, you're kind of zoned in on the keepers. What are some non-negotiables to play with the program?
Um, One of the biggest things that we have is to have a growth mindset, right? So looking to get better. We do well within our conference and we're looking to compete at the highest level that we can. So no matter how well you do, what are areas that you can grow in, right? So coming in, understanding even if you're doing good in that, we're going to look at little details that you can try to get better at, and that's on and off the field, right? So we have players whose goals are to go pro. We have a keeper coming in who wants to play pro after. That's great. We're going to help them with that. We have players who are going to go and be our left back's now a pediatrician, right? So trying to help her in that area as well. So just trying to help people grow and be the best versions of themselves, right? Someone who's open to that.
Love it. And then what are recruiting timelines for goalkeepers within your program? Like, are you guys recruiting 2025 still? Are you recruiting 26s? Are you looking as early as 2027? I know obviously 28 and 29 is maybe a little bit too far away, but like where are you at within your recruiting timelines for the keeper specifically?
So right now, we have our goalkeepers situated until I think our next recruiting class will be 2028 that we need a keeper. So we're pretty well set on
Yep.
that. With that being said, you never know what's going to happen, right? Especially now with the roster cap at 28. You just
Yep.
don't know who's going to stay, what's going to happen. We just got a transfer commit of 1 year, but we have a 25 and a 26 coming in and a goalkeeper who just finished her freshman year on the field. So you just don't really know what's going to happen right now. So we're keeping up with 26s, we're keeping up with 27s, but 28 is the next official year that we need a keeper.
I guess just to kind of, and for John, we'll dig deep in that. Like, obviously, I say this all the time when players come in and they're centre midfielders, and let's just say for talking sakes, I've done this at our program. Kid comes in centre midfielder, isn't going to play centre mid, but can translate to right back, can translate to right mid, can translate to left back. How hard and competitive is it, being a goalkeeper, with only one plane essentially, like user
Yeah.
obviously, recruiting from now until 2027 kind of know what you're going to look at. But yeah, I mean, how important is it to know that you're coming in to compete essentially?
It's extremely important. It's a lonely position. I'm sure John will agree with that, right? At the end of the day, there's only one person with that skill that'll be on the pitch. I know as a keeper myself, it was something that was kind of hard to deal with, right? And uh it's the past 2 years here, we had two girls who were both should be starting at any other team in the conference. So the first one, my first year, she was in her last year and she had a great year. And then the second one stepped up and she had a great year as well. But the one who started this past year, that previous year was extremely difficult for her because she felt like a one and you're just kind of there pushing and waiting. And it's competitive, but it's frustrating when you're not the one starting.
Yeah, yeah. And I guess last question, what is important during the recruitment process? Like what, and I don't even know this, what do you look for in a goalkeeper specific highlight tape? How important is it? Like, obviously a lot of people will send emails to the head coach. Do you think it's really important to also email, the goalkeeper coach? And then, obviously ID camps is something that is universal across the states when you're looking at programs. But I guess like be more specific in regards to ID camps, like, where realistically, if you also use the math you just used with, if you were to look on a roster and see a sophomore and a freshman, then the chances you going in and playing right away are probably going to be tough if you're a junior in high school right now. So, like, is it also important to look at rosters and kind of see, who's graduating out of that position for opportunity, essentially?
Yeah, I think looking at a roster is a really smart thing to do. If they have the ability to go to a game at every level is also huge because we're not just going to play whoever the oldest person is.
Yep.
So if it's a school they really like, say the academics and Memphis, Tennessee, like Rhodes, right? If they like Rhodes, go and watch Rhodes play. They might have people who are sophomores and juniors. Doesn't mean that that sophomore and junior is better than the goalkeeper that's wanting to go there, right?
Yeah.
So it is important to be aware if a school is looking for a keeper, but the year that they are doesn't always matter as much as just the skill level. So being aware of where that keeper is and thinking how would you fit into that is also huge. When you talked about emails as well, I think it's good to email both the goalie coach and the head coach, assistant coaches. Every time a goalkeeper just emails the head coach or the other assistant, they just forward it to me immediately. they'll look at it, but they're forwarding it to me. The other assistant just forwards it to me immediately. The head coach will look at it, but he'll forward it to me immediately as well. And they're asking for my thoughts on it. So I think it's important to include both within that as well. And then for ID camps, I think it's important to get out there and just go to as many camps as you can. A big thing would be if it's a school that you like and you're starting to like look into, getting a feel of the environment and what the coach is like, right? If you come to one of our camps, you're going to get experience with our head coach, with our assistant coach, and with me. We try to make it as normal of a training day as possible for you and trying to just understand what that's like. We have other players on the team that'll help out with it as well. They coach the camp as well. So getting a feel for them. But from a player's side at that ID camp, it's trying to figure out how do I fit into that.
Yeah. And then what about highlight tapes? What does a goalkeeper specific highlight tape look like, and what is it you look for when looking at, the highlight tape?
Yeah, I think a big thing, like I talked about a little bit earlier, is that back to bar balls overhead, seeing if they have the ability to do that. And then for me, it's a little detail in footwork and then just the athleticism on being able to get low for a ball or a high ball, just the way that they do it. It's called like a micro step. So that first step, how they take that in and power dive is huge. It's something that uh, you can just kind of see within that the detail that a goalkeeper has if they're focused on that or not. And so just trying to see how well they can shoot out for a ball and then those balls overhead, crossing as well, how comfortable they are with crossing. Are they kind of stretched and lean back, or are they square with that correct knee up, kind of attacking through a cross is something else that's huge. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I guess just to kind of to round off just this part of it, like what would you say is important during the recruitment process for, a goalkeeper? What are some things that you would say, three things, these are things that you probably need to start looking into or doing to kind of play at that Division 1 level?
I think one area a lot of people always, and it's something that I did as well as a player, is the fitness side. I think a lot of people don't pay attention to that, especially as a goalkeeper, and understanding, even though there is goalkeeper specific fitness, that base fitness, the base of your fitness is going to be the same as a player almost. You need to have that kind of base work with just everything around before you can kind of hit that goalkeeper specific stuff. So just trying to make sure that you're at that level to where you can do that more athletic type of dive or being able to have that better range or be quicker off your line, things like that. That would be one. A second thing is don't be scared to have a relationship with the coach, right? Try to reach out and show them who you are and if you go on a visit or get a chance to talk to players, don't be afraid to ask them questions as well. Don't shut down and be quiet and just let them run it. It's okay to show yourself within that. And last thing would be, especially for a younger goalkeeper, would cast a wide net. Have your dream schools, right? And then have a set of realistic schools and then safety schools, if that makes sense, kind of. And send something out to all of them and just see who reaches out, especially for say like the 27s. Yeah, we can't talk to you guys yet completely, but go ahead and get your name out there so then when we can, you'll know on the first day that we can call, okay, what level is looking at me.
Yeah, appreciate it, mate. We will switch gears to the men's side. So obviously, we'll kind of circle back as well with Jacob and with John after this. But again, kind of the same questions. What specific traits you look for a goalkeeper, at the Division 1 level on the men's side, John?
For me, start off with I like to look at a goalkeeper and I like them to be physically dominant inside of his own box. I like to look at guys that are a little bit 6 foot, 6 foot plus. All the goalkeepers we have that play, sorry, are 6 foot and plus. So that would be number one. I think traits as well, being able to keep the ball out of the goal at a successful rate.
Yeah,
Consistency is pretty important for me in the part of the goal. I think that's the most important position to be consistent. If you're not consistent at holding the ball, pushing the ball to correct areas, crosses, catching the ball, dictating, leading your back line, there's a higher rate that the ball will end up in the goal. And again, if you're that goalkeeper, if you make a mistake, if you're not consistent, 9 times out of 10, the ball ends up in the goal.
yeah,
It again, Jacob mentioned a lonely position. It's very lonely at that. Anywhere else in the field, you can misplace a bad touch, you can kick the ball elsewhere. But that part of the field, if you're not as consistent, mistakes tend to happen.
Yeah, yeah. I guess similar question, what are some non-negotiables to play with your program academically and athletically? You kind of touched on the height there. Is that something that is like, and this is what's good for this call, is that something that is relevant? Like when you look at goalkeepers, if they're below 6 foot for your specific program, they need to be able to do a lot of stuff to kind of catch your eye.
I think in we have the way we talk to not just the goalkeepers but the full team is we want you to be elite at two or three things. If you can be elite at two or three specific things, then maybe you can forget about one else, if that makes sense. So if
Mhm.
I'm a goalkeeper and I'm elite at kicking the ball, I'm an elite shot stopper. Maybe crosses we can hold and stay on the line a little bit. Did you catch what I'm getting at?
Yeah,
So with one, two, or three elite things, we can live with a different one. In terms of athletically as well, I mean, obviously we want you to get around the goal. We want you to be able to get from the front post to the back post. We want you to be able to come out. We want you to be able to drop, save, forward, save, etc. And then, sorry, academically, I mean, we want bright, smart kids. We don't want kids that are going to come and disrupt let's say the team GPA goal, as well as we want people that are switched on, off the field. So when we are explaining things, when we are going over things, when we are reviewing film, when we are doing game prep, the guys understand and can then produce it into the game. Just an example would be last year. I think any goalkeeper in the world can save a penalty, right? I mean, we can dive one way and we can save the ball. What a specific thing that I do with my goalkeepers is we watch film. We watch a lot of film. We break down forwards, movements, taking penalties, taking free kicks, so we understand and know which way they're going to go. And ultimately, last year we saved two penalties from the same dude, different games that won us two games. So if
yeah,
he's not switched on, if he's not academically sharp, if he's not willing to do the extra work, the video sessions, as a team, we would have lost games. And then just individually for that goalkeeper, it's awesome saving two penalties in a
yeah,
season, right?
yeah. I guess something to just piggyback on that, how probably something I can open up to Jacob as well. Like when you're coming to approach games, do you watch, the strikers, attacking midfielders, top goal scorers? Like, is that something that you do at your program? Is actively watch the other team and like how, are they left footed, are they right footed, like stuff like that?
As a team, as a full team, we would obviously break down if the way they play, the patterns they play, the areas they like to get to, etc. We've all done that. The head coach, or sorry, fellow assistant will lead and dictate to the full team. However, I dive a little bit deeper in between the goalkeepers and the back line. So you mentioned that if they have playing a 4-3-3 and they have a left-footed right winger who likes to come inside and hit it to the near post, my goalkeeper will see that action three or four times in a PowerPoint. So he knows he switched on when that guy comes in. We can never predict it, but there's a strong chance we know what he's going to do. Again, penalties, we talked about it. A guy stutters, takes one step to the left, we know he's going to go across his body. If he opens up hips, etc., free kicks, we know corners, we know. So everything that the opposing teams is going to do, I feel comfortable and confident that they've already seen it visually before they're in the game.
Love it. Love it. I'm gonna go off script. Jacob, can you jump in? Do you do something similar on the girls' side?
Yeah, so we have a full scouting report we do with the team. So we'll do an on-field piece. They have a piece of paper they get, and then they also have film that they see, and that's for the full team. But then also for the keepers, we have stuff that we've started to pick up on that we're trying to break down that can be as little of a detail of on a corner kick, where is the player on them set, their free kick takers, left foot, right foot, where do they tend to go? Is it more of a bent ball? Is it that kind of backspin that kind of drops on mid and long sets? Where do they like to place it? What runs do they do? If they have any type of trick play, we've gone over that and try to find a solve for that with the full team along with the keepers. If there's a player that took a PK as well, we have the goal broken down into 5 different zones: 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5 down the middle. And the keepers know for every single player, they have a piece of paper. They know, okay, 5 has gone zone 3 twice and zone 1 once. And so they're aware of that going in. if they want to see that film, that we can pull that film up for them as well. So we go into detail with that. Tendencies on individual players within the attack. We do offensive tendencies for the full team to see. If there's a notable player that we feel is dangerous that needs to be looked at in more detail, the goalkeepers will, but usually it's just the overall offensive tendencies within the team setting that the goalies will focus on more than on their own type thing outside of sets.
Love it. Appreciate it. Switching back to John, like recruiting timelines are obviously a lot different on the men's side and on the girls' side. Where are you at, John? Like, are you recruiting? Have you got your keepers for next year? Are you looking at 26s? Are you looking at 27s? Where are you guys at in terms of recruiting timelines for the keeper?
Yeah, we just got our last commitment a couple of weeks ago. FC Dallas kid, so he'll be a freshman incoming. We kind of have a new goalkeeper every year. We have Jakob our Polish, who's on number one. We have our number two, and then that number three spot kind of changes every year. The third guy obviously thinks he's going to come in, play a little bit, doesn't, and wants to move on. So yeah, every single year we would have a goalkeeper that we're interested in, lined up, and want to go after.
Yeah, I guess like kind of similar to what I asked Jacob. Like obviously the position, as well as I do. Player comes in, center midfielder can move to right back. Keeper comes in. There's only one other position. How competitive is it? At your level to be the starting keeper and remain the starting keeper.
It's awesome you asked that because we had a situation in the fall that on number two ended up being on number one for the season. Just take you back a year, we had a Polish guy freshman and we had a junior transfer Brazilian keeper. Both dudes coming in fighting for the number one spot. Polish guy got it, played the season, freshman All American, pretty good freshman year. Fast forward a year to his sophomore year, come in, made an error, dropped the ball, got a red card, a second keeper, boom, ready to go. And I say he was ready to go because the countless times and effort that he puts into training to hold the number one accountable and just the willingness to be ready. And there's something that we go and we say, I mean, we talk about going to be a professional. All right, you've got to be a professional before you're a professional. Does that make sense? You got to do all the extra training, do all this, do all that. So for him, he wants to be the number one, thinks he's the number one. He's doing all this tendencies, all the stuff the number one would do. He'd
Yep.
stay after practice. He would do more. He would watch more. So when the time came, boom, he was ready. He
Yep.
started first game of the season, SMU away, conceded one goal, but for the rest of the remainder of the season, he went on to be stay on number one and was very very good.
Love it. Love it. And then again, yeah, I guess 26s, 27s, have you got these keepers on your radars or is it more operating on a year-to-year basis?
I mean, there's a couple of goalkeepers on the radar. Just that's through club coach connections that have been presented to us. And again, our number one spot is probably solidified for the next 2 years,
Yep.
providing a professional club or a outstanding university come in. So yeah, definitely the number two and number three spot, as of I can see right now, is definitely open and available and predicated upon like what I just talked about. I mean, you can come in as a number two and boom, next week you're the number one and have a very good year.
Yeah.
So I would definitely say, looking just from looking within the program, definitely we're looking as of 2026, we would want to bring in a new goalkeeper. Yes.
Yeah. Got you. And then kind of similar question, like, you know, goalkeeper specific highlight tapes, emails, ID camps, like what is it you look for in these spaces?
Piggybacking off Jacob, obviously all the tendencies a good goalkeeper must have. I mean, love to see it in a highlight tape. I'm not too keen on seeing the first clips, a PK save, free kick save. I mean, we can all do that, getting our steps right. I want to see a cutback. I want to see a cross. I want to see this. I want to see that. I want to see reactions. I want to see how your tendencies are, how well you can do it, and then focusing on footwork, etc. Where we catch, where we hold, and then leaning on how can I help you if you come to my program. And then moving on to ID camps, emails. I think it's one thing for us to be interested in you, but you've also got to be interested in us. So I think ID camps are important. Come to the ID camps, get a feel for the university, get a feel for me, get a feel for the guys you'll be around working with every day, day in, day out. And then, the next step we'll kind of see what happens.
Yeah. Yeah. And then I guess last one, just like free things that you think are important during the recruitment cross process specific to a goalkeeper?
I think again, showing interest, being consistent with emails, and just keep updating highlight videos. Keep sending us game links, game things. When are you going to be in town? When can you? When? Why do we want to come watch it? When can we come watch it? What events are you going to be at? Are you going to be playing the Tulsa club?
Yeah, love it, love it, love it, love it. Okay. Next one, this is kind of something that I've done this year, with all the ones that we did for the field players, but I went on your roster and basically looked at the representation of the fall of 2024. So in Oral Roberts on your side, John, you had a Japanese goalkeeper, a Polish goalkeeper, and a Brazilian goalkeeper. And then Jacob, you had two goalkeepers from Milwaukee. I think, for our club, like all the kids are based, around the Memphis area, North Mississippi area. How vast is your recruiting? Do you know what I mean? Like, John, on your side, obviously that's three different countries from virtually three different continents. And then Jacob, for just now, obviously you've got both yours from Milwaukee, but I'm assuming you get a lot of interest from, kids all over the nation. How competitive is the goalkeeper position at the NCAA Division One level for you? And I guess,
Su
John, I'll open up to you first.
Yeah, super competitive. I mean, just like every other position is competitive. However, with the roster cap, we're gonna go with three goalkeepers each year. So, like you mentioned, James, you can make a centre midfielder into a right back. Can't make a goalkeeper into a striker. Or if you can, I need that. I need that remedy. So yeah, it's again, it's very very competitive. I mean, you've got not just international goalkeepers, you've got junior college transfers, you've got, I mean, NAIA guys that can come up, Division Two guys that can come up. You've got absolutely everything and anything, ECNL, MLS Next, etc. So very, very, very competitive. I would say as as you want to translate from club to college, again, keeping your options way and wide open, not narrowing it down and circling down to two or three universities. I think you've got to have a broad knowledge of universities, what you're interested in, why you want to go there, etc. But definitely opening up to 10 to 12, and again keeping conversations alive, and yeah, being open to going somewhere, or being open to go there for a year and then maybe transferring out, etc. I mean, the one of the things we love, not just as in a goalkeeping, but as outfield as well. I would rather see you do it in America. I'd rather see you play 12 to 15 games, being consistent, then moving on, if that makes sense. Sometimes when we bring freshmen in or international guys in, it doesn't translate too well from year one, doesn't translate well. So if you do have aspirations or dreams as well to go big schools, I think definitely as well, not just setting your sight on that. And then if that doesn't work out, boom, I'm done. Definitely keeping options open to, again, junior colleges, NAIA schools, etc., getting a year experience, then being open to move on. One, you're a year older. Two, you've already done it. So you become, for me, more marketable and appealing for us to go after.
Yeah. I guess like for next year, obviously you said you've got the Polish kid coming back, you've got the FC Dallas kid coming in. So next year your three goalkeepers is what? Is it Polish, Dallas, and then is it Japanese kid staying, or have you got another one coming in?
Japanese kids still.
Japanese kids staying. Right, okay. And then Jacob, on you, obviously this past year both your kids were from Milwaukee. Is that staying the same next year? How competitive is it, in that position across the nation and across the world?
Yeah, sadly, our starter has decided to graduate. She's going to go into the medical field and make some money.
Yep.
So sucks to see her go.
Yep.
But this upcoming year, we will have three keepers. Three goalies is the ideal scenario. We wanted three, and it just didn't work out that way this past year. So we had to make it work with two.
Yep.
Not just the Milwaukee area. Right now, we have a grad transfer coming in who's from Woodland, Texas, and then we have a 2025 who's coming in as a freshman. She is from Michigan, so it'll be a little bit wider. The
Yep.
process, we're not just looking in our area. We looked at internationals. We had players from England. We looked at Japan, Taiwan, all over the country as well, from the West Coast, the East Coast, and it's just who was the best fit for us in that scenario. So last year it was two girls from Milwaukee, and now it's from Woodland, Michigan, and Milwaukee. So it's just finding who's the best fit for us, kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then just in regards to the competitiveness, like obviously it's so competitive across the state and across the nation. How many emails do you get, a week, a day from goalkeepers across the globe?
It's a good amount. I don't a couple a day, 5 to 10 a day, probably not consistently, but we can get a good amount, and that's from transfers, especially now with the roster size. There's a lot more people in the transfer portal than usual trying to find homes.
Yep.
I'm sure John's probably dealing with that same thing. There's a lot of people who have been told to move on, who are trying to find a new place to go now, and on top of that, just kind of the seniors, juniors, all the way down to freshmen who are starting that process as well. So it's kind of a widespread for us on the women's side. And
Mhm.
then we have internationals. So we had like a player from Liverpool's under 21s who decided she wants to come over now. So we have people like that that are starting to look on it, or the Taiwan international team, things like that, who are just looking for something different than the route they were originally going down.
Yeah.
So it's pretty competitive with kind of all over different ranges of level.
Yeah, I got you. Okay, moving on, and we'll attack both of these together. So, I mean, I guess what does a week look like schedule wise, academically and athletically? We'll start with you, Jacob. What does a week like look at Milwaukee?
So right now in the spring, we share that pitch you see in the bottom left with the men's team, and we also have an indoor facility in that building. It's like a five-a-side that's behind those bleachers there, but we share that with the men's team, and we flip flop the schedule between spring and fall. So right now in the spring, we go 8:30 in the morning. Typically, the girls will have a lift right after in the spring. On Fridays, we reverse that. The girls decided for a 7:30 a.m. lift, and they'll do that before our trainings. And now that they've opened up for hours, now we're on the 20 hours instead of the 8 hours a week. We do about an hour and a half long training. Goalkeeping wise, we coordinate it with the team, so we try not to overwork a keeper. We're not doing a hour long goalie session, then putting them directly for an hour and a half with the team. So the field players will go and do technical possession or whatever we think their focus should be on for 15 to an hour, right? And then the keepers will be off doing whatever we feel like that they need to hit on that day.
Mm-hmm. Love it. John, what about yours?
Right now we're training 4 times a week. Game on a Friday. We're doing a little different this year, so we're going Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Obviously, again, game on a Friday. We'll practice every day for around an hour and a half. I try and do the goalkeepers a little bit longer, so we'll get out there about 20 minutes beforehand. So 20 minutes to get warm, and then I normally take them goalkeepers for 40 minutes of the session, so they're with me for around about an hour, 20-minute warm up, and then 40 minutes of work. And then that'll be Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then Thursday and more in preparation for the game. There'll be more with the team going over set pieces and just everything you do kind of game prep wise, game before the day, if that makes sense.
Yep. Yep. And I guess the next one was kind of answered with both of you, isn't it? Something else that you kind of spoke about it, Jacob. What other support teams do you have around the team? And again, making it specific to the goalkeeper, like both of yous are support system for, the goalkeepers. They've also got a strength and conditioning coach, an athletic trainer. How many outlets does a goalkeeper have? Like what you said earlier, it's a lonely position. What are the outlets that your program has to support them?
We
Outs
also have a kind of like it's called a mindful Monday where they can go and communicate and kind of get things off the chest to a small group. Feel comfortable talking that. We have academic advisors that are meeting with them weekly. And again, I actually meet with the goalkeepers and the back line players weekly to talk about goals, talk about kind of motivation, meditation, or kind of all that fun stuff. We also meet as a team on a Wednesday. And then we have a leadership meeting as well, which one of my goalkeepers is involved with. So outside of soccer, yeah, I'm seeing them. I'm seeing them every day, pretty much.
Yeah. And then Jacob, what about you guys?
Yeah, so we do something similar with the meetings just with the goalies. So I meet with them individually once a week for about 30 minutes. We have a goal setting sheet that we do to help them kind of organize their kind of thoughts and what they're wanting to achieve and their own kind of progression as well, giving them their own type of focus within a training session. along with that, outside of like our coaching staff, we have the strength and conditioning coaches who are there for them. We have sports psychologists. We have two that are amazing that are here just for the athletic department that they can meet with. They have um, three mental health professionals that are just for athletics that are here. And then we also have for the academic side, we have somebody who's unreal that meets with, if you're a freshman, once a week to kind of keep you in check. And then after that, it's kind of up to the player. If they want to continue to do the meetings, they can. But usually our girls are pretty good with their grades. We're not having to keep up with them on that. But yeah, they have a lot of different resources to help them in all aspects of their life on the field and off the field.
Love it. And then I guess like obviously I've got relationships with you too, and you have both worked, John, you with like you came through junior college, played at Oklahoma City, you do a lot of stuff on the summer leagues and now you're working at a Division 1 level. Jacob used to actually be with the club and was with CBU and then you went to UT Martin. So you have more of a hands-on approach with Lobos in particular. But like how different is it when you look at, the goalkeeper position that you're luckily enough to work with right now as an NCAA Division 1 goalkeeper? You have seen different levels. And within the levels, how does that change recruitment? And I guess I'll open up with you, Jacob, to start with. How does the recruitment of all the different levels, affect decision making?
I think one big thing, and going from CBU, that was on the men's side, to now on the women's, it was kind of like John, where it was each year we're seeing what happened. We have kind of a turnover, a lot of players. I remember we had, I think, three of my four keepers thought they were the number one at first.
Yeah.
And then when the first game came up, it kind of changes on the women's side. It's they're kind of a little more self-aware of where they are, and it's a little bit more planned ahead with that recruitment
Yeah.
going from UT Martin to here, it's more UT Martin was very much kind of 1 year advanced. So they were looking my first year there as a graduate assistant, it was kind of that upcoming class. We're kind of working within that class as well up until the last second. As here now, we're kind of a year or two ahead, right? So we're trying to stay a little bit more on top of that. Our 25s have been done for a long time. Our 26s, we didn't realize we're going to be done until the roster cap came in. And now it's like, okay, we're kind of calming down in that area and starting to prepare a 27 class a little bit of who we want to target. But for goalkeeping specifically, it's uh it's very competitive still, like we tried to talk about a little bit earlier in this. So there's a lot of goalkeepers trying to find a home, and there's keepers who want to play for us, and it's trying to see if they're the right fit. There's keepers that we want to play for us that might not want to come to us. So trying to get them in and see like, hey, look, you might actually enjoy it here, and try to get them to understand what it's all about at the same time. So
Yeah, like it. And then I'll switch the same question at you, John.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we want to go and try and claim the best like everybody else does, but just leaning on what Jacob mentioned, I mean, sometimes you can't have them, and you got to look elsewhere. So yeah, I think regardless of the level, I mean, everyone's fighting for the best, and sometimes again, as a club coach or as an agent, that agent's gonna or club coach is gonna be realistic in where he thinks he can send you. So that's gonna help you in the process as well. If you're not Division 1 ready or Division 1, let's say good enough, I mean, I'm pretty sure your coach isn't going to put you in that situation to be approached by them. He's going to send you more to where he believes you will be successful. And again, I mentioned earlier, just because you don't go to Division 1 right away doesn't mean you can't at all.
Yeah. Yeah. Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. The last thing we're kind of going to touch on, and then, we're going to be respectful of the coach's time and kind of end it. And, I'll stay on for any questions. But, this is something that, we started 3 years ago. And it's our college development program. So, I've ran the program now for 3 years, and it's basically kids who graduated from Lobos who are now playing in the college ranks come back in the summer months, so June and July, and we train twice a week. something that we've done, and there's keepers on this call. We've invited keepers who are within the club, who are younger goalkeepers, to come out and train at the level with the kids that are currently playing at college, and it's been huge in regards to kind of understanding where you're at, what it looks like to play at that Division 1, Division 2, Division 3, NAIA junior college level. So this is just something as well that kind of connecting the dots, like what we said at the start, from the college pathway to our club. So just something as well that we kind of touch on at the end. Um, I'm gonna stop recording.